every single party is going to show their argument in a way that benefits them the most. Yeah, that's obvious. That's going to happen. But because everyone is going to show it in a way that benefits them the most, naturally everyone is going to disagree on like specifics. I know we're kind of farming Bellular these days, but listen. He's talking about good shit, so we gotta watch.
Well, the EU are up to regulatory shenanigans again.
Oh. Unironically though, that is one of the few W's I will give the EU. They are quite consumer friendly for the most part.
And the question is, will this be good for us or will it be bad for us? And with that in mind, here's a quote. Let's not kill one of Europe's few tech success stories. That was a rather damning statement given by the CEO of...
Unironically, I think Clash of Clans, because I still do I play it from time to time. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is in terms of monetization. Now then again, I don't play it competitively, but I also think if you get into anything competitive, you should just know it's going to be really expensive. But like as a casual player, I feel like I'm keeping up for the most part.
Supercell and its latest shot in a war that has been silently raging since April, because that's when the EU unveiled new guidelines for microtransactions in gaming. And now, after a summer of adjustment, the industry is speaking out. Now, obviously, in one way, that's all kind of hilarious, and we do sort of think, yeah, you've rammed our games full of this bullshit. A lot of it.
I have no idea what anything. I'm assuming this is $10, $3. What game even is this? It's a gacha game anyway.
It's felt fairly manipulative. It's probably good that someone is getting involved. In big picture,
it's 650%
that is what I think.
Value.
That being
You'd be
said,
an idiot not
a
to
lot
buy
of
it.
people in the industry are saying that this will ruin everything that they've built. I mean, just look at what the Supercell dude said.
Why does Europe want to end one of the biggest tech stories? I've been watching European tech grow for 25 years. In that time, our continent has gone from being a minor player to producing global leaders. America is still way ahead of us, though. Like, I'm just being blunt. I think Asia is ahead of us as well. Don't quote me on that, though. I think Asia is either matching us or ahead of us, so we're behind, really. But right now, potential regulations threaten to bring global industry in gaming. As I said on this, EU proposals around digital coins are an attractive fundamentally break how games work and ruin player experience. Millions of people who love games across the continent thanks to video gaming. My fellow gaming leaders are helping raise awareness of this issue. It's really important we speak up and more. Okay. So he's just mad that they're doing something about premium currency.
Basically, according to a lot of them, they say these regulations would worsen the player experience and also wouldn't improve protections. And that certainly is a bit that I'm at least interested in. They also say that this would cause widespread collateral damage to one of EU's biggest tech success
probably will, yeah.
So here's the thing. He's not entirely wrong.
Yeah.
He's not entirely right.
If you nuke microtransactions like completely, you're going to get rid of a lot of income. And then game companies are going to be forced to do the one thing they never wanted to do. Actually make a good game worth its price tag.
There's definitely stuff for us to talk about, and this one's going to be a goddamn trip. And I get this all can be a lot. We've got tariff and trade negotiations affecting everything from Switch 2 pricing to...
I've seen some fucking retards buy a Switch 2 and then destroy it, and they're like, oh yeah, take that, Miyazaki. I think it's Miyazaki. Take that, Nintendo. It's like, bro, you fucking bought the Switch. They got your money. What do you mean? You're an actual moron.
Gaming privacy laws, and that means you need a full picture. And that's where ground news comes in. It's where I go...
Okay.
So, if you want to check it out, hit up that... Kind of kicked off by a Swedish horse girl game. Yeah, so here we are.
Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah, this was the whole thing that caused it.
Into the story. The autumn legislative sessions are starting, and we're right at the end of the consultation period for the Digital Fairness Act. So, would you like some fairness in digital format? Maybe this act is for you. Now, what it is an overarching EU legislative agenda that covers loads of tech fields and where they intersect with consumer protections. Now, for our purposes, it includes features like deceptive interface design.
Okay, I will admit that skin is kind of cool, but like campus swimsuits 90% off, Jesus Christ.
Where, well, there's all sorts of shady shit
What
that they
game
do.
is this?
Manipulative elements, addictive elements, and unfair personalization practices. You might think, oh, I love things to be personalized. Less so whenever a game is trying to exploit you really wanting that next upgrade and is giving you a targeted deal that probably has
Ooh,
900% value or some made up bullshit like
1000%
that. Now,
value,
it's
stuff like that,
especially
yeah.
concerned where it hits consumer vulnerabilities and where people can be exploited. Now, you may remember our coverage from back in April, where we got to talk about the Swedish horse girl game. So that's when the EU took
I
on
completely forgot about
microtransactions.
that.
And what happened is that the Consumer Protection Cooperation Network, rolls off the tongue, laid out some new key principles. And this all came as a part of a case made against the Swedish mobile game Star Stables. Now, what we're talking about today, the Digital Fairness Act and its consultation period, it is building on those principles from the whole horse game saga. Now,
no, it's not.
what that means is new systems requiring real monetary value on listings, not just,
300 coins for 5. So what? 1 coin is, or sorry, 60 coins is £1.
Made up gem bullshit. Removing multiple currency options.
Oh, what the fuck is this? Like, that actually offends me. Just charge me the full 20, you asshole.
Funds are available. Imagine that, a refund on a gem. Crazy stuff. And also ending a lot of the FOMO practices. And especially because these things were often targeted toward kids, but also they would apply to everyone because games would need to implement them across the board. Now, at the time, the industry was obviously not really thrilled. They love making money from all of the things
I like money too, yeah.
Sketchy. And they framed these as new legal theories, as a disruption that could see games pulled from the EU if those games couldn't comply.
Yeah, realistically, that was never going to happen. Like, oh yeah, well, we'll just pull our games from EU. Like, sure, buddy, but you're missing out on like such a major market. Maybe EA would with FIFA, because Ultimate Team is like 60% of their total revenue or some bullshit like that. But apart from them, no one else actually would.
Think about the poor monetization designers, guys. But where things left off is that the CPC was supposed to work with them, work with the industry to help implement everything. But 6 months later, the industry mood has not improved, and they are quite worried. That open letter from the Supercell CEO, and by the way, Supercell are like Clash of Clans people, so some top-tier creative gaming content. That's just one of several press efforts that we've seen in recent weeks. But it's the most striking one from a senior figure. Basically, he says that he doesn't want the EU's €27 billion industry harmed by the DFA or the guidelines that came in March of this year.
And I don't blame him saying that. A high-up member of a company saying they don't want their company to be affected by regulation is just like standard procedure.
Argues that they will, quote, break how many games fundamentally work, that they will harm the player experience, and especially will do this for free-to-play games. He uses a familiar metaphor for how in-game currency works, but it's one that was okay per the legal framework before the new guidelines in April. And basically he talked about theme park tokens. The idea that a family can buy tokens in bulk, or they can buy tokens individually, or they can even win tokens in a theme park. And to him, this is all framed as, quote, convenient and fun, avoiding repeated cash transactions.
Yeah, getting gems in Clash of Clans is not a fun experience. You just fucking clear obstacles. What do you mean?
The idea you can buy...
I know there's achievements and stuff, but realistically speaking, the majority of them are going to come from clearing obstacles.
...of tokens at once. And he then contrasts this with the potential worst case under the new guidelines, where individual parental approval for each token used, including signed contract agreements, regardless of purchase value and all of that, would basically harm the experience. Basically, he's saying that regardless of purchase value, rides must display a real cost in euros based on a fixed standard, not, a token cost. Now, when children win prizes, they believe that those prizes are worth real money, despite obviously not being able to cash out. In his analogy, the visitors get frustrated and leave. Why? Well, because the experience isn't simpler or safer than what exists now. So, why change the token system? Well, his argument, he believes the existing frameworks can just be strengthened. Improve what we've got. Don't do a big new scary thing. Now, we will come back.
Okay, but how would you improve it? Like, just using Clash of Clans as like a frame of reference, how would you improve? Would you get more gems? I mean, like, there are, obviously, if you want to rush a building, right, and it's like a 7-day wait, it's going to be like a couple thousand gems. But, like, for the most part, most things aren't like super expensive, but if you were giving out more gems for free, I have a feeling you would up the gem cost of everything.
Supercell responds to those existing laws later on in this video. But going on, he suggests these new policies could result in companies choosing other monetization models. Things like more in-game advertising. And this feeling has actually got a lot of backing. Multiple large European game developers sent a letter to the EU. And I have to say, a massive thank you to one of our members.
As a consumer, I would prefer the option for someone to pay money and get ahead of me than having to watch an ad every 10-15 minutes. I much rather have the option to pay for a power boost than to have to sit and watch an ad every 10-15 minutes. It's like if you go on Twitch and you try and watch a streamer you've never watched before, and like I was going to watch Cinder, because I was just on Twitch, I never watched Cinder before, and I was on the last day and I was going to watch her, and I got a 30-second unskippable ad. I immediately clicked off because I'm not fucking sitting there for 30 seconds to watch someone who I don't even know if I'll like or not.
Neo Nebulosa for helping us navigate the fun industrial
It'd be the same thing
nuances
with games.
of the continent. Because for real, this shit's complicated. Now, what happened is that Euractiv saw the letter, and then industry-wide bodies like the European Game Developer Federation also got involved. And they're all very worried, and this is based on legal interpretations of current proposals and what they would mean for them, and of course also what they would mean for you. Let's go to the heart of the issue. This fundamentally comes down to a fairly simple question, but it's one with significant legal ramifications, and it's this. Is in-game currency the same as real currency? Because if it's treated as such,
Oh, how do you mean?
as, quote, digital representations of value, then the companies...
Oh, is he going to make the arguments that you should be able to trade like your Overwatch coins for real money then?
Trading in them face significantly more scrutiny. And if you're thinking about, say, I don't know, banking, crypto, and other things, yeah, you're kind of thinking along the right lines. Because effectively, they would then be a little bit more like Bitcoin under the law. And to be clear, that is the position of the CPC. And therefore it's inherent to the current consultation for the Digital Fairness Act, which is the big thing that would really change a lot. Now, the fundamental argument is that people are putting real money into these systems, and they are getting in return for their real money a digital representation of that money in the form of products, like, say,
yeah, I see where this is going, yeah.
your gems or your Call of Duty points, whatever it may be. So because of that, they should therefore have transparency and safety when they are spending. Now, those are good, noble goals, but implementation could be a little tricky, and it would mean some humongous changes. Now, we can't just dismiss those things because we like the principles behind the changes, and for the avoidance of doubt, we here are very much behind those principles.
Yeah.
And what the industry is putting
Should be
forward
safer.
really are based on worst case scenarios. But that doesn't mean that they won't happen, and we should talk about it because it would impact the industry. Now, they already don't trust the EU elements implementing all of this, as flagged by George Osborne, all that one.
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't really trust the EU either. Like, I've seen the members of EU Parliament and stuff, like, it's just a bunch of fucking 50 to 60, 70-year-old people who probably don't even know what the internet is. I wouldn't trust them very much when it comes to monetization of a video game. But also I'd make that argument for, like, to be honest, any country in the world. Most, like, representatives of countries are, like, 60s and 70s, and most of them barely know what Wi-Fi is, let alone... Forget trying to explain to them like Clash of Clans gems or like V-Bucks or some shit like...
In his excellent video games industry memo newsletter back in April, his sources suggested to him something rather troubling, that before the new guidelines, the CPC did not engage with industry trade bodies, let alone get impact assessments. I know, impact assessments, it's real sexy stuff, but then again, we are dealing with, billions of euro and how the industry literally works. Now, that's part of why these bodies are emphasizing certain facts. Things like, only 18% of kids are allowed to make purchases.
Child spends, child does not spend, don't know.
That 95% get parental supervision, and
I doubt that.
the monthly spending has actually gone down year on year.
Average claim spend per month on in-game extras decreased from 39 to 31. Oh, okay. And
which is at least a silver lining.
amongst parents whose children, do they know though? As in, like, what if the kid is making some cash on the side and then they use it for in-game currency or whatever? You know? I mean, I guess this could just be, like, from my understanding, this is literally just like them using mommy and daddy's credit card or whatever, you know? Also, I'm going to be honest. For stuff like Clash of Clans, Fortnite, stuff like that, most people at this point probably have like all the shit they want or most of the stuff they want and are just willing to grind. Like I actually got back into Fortnite kind of recently. I'm never going to buy V-Bucks again. I just get it all from Save the Worlds because I bought the like Founders Edition back in like 2019 or whatever. So I get from dailies I get 100 and then usually there's missions. I'm averaging in a week about 150 V-Bucks a day. That's not including anything from Battle Pass or whatever. So like for me, I'm chilling because it's like, oh, I can buy whatever I want. I just have to wait like a week, you know? And I'd imagine it's the same for a lot of people. Like if they spend their money on Clash of Clans, I imagine most of them are like a high town hall. What's the highest again? 16? I imagine most of them are nearly a max 16. You know? So it's like, it could have gone down because either they have most of the shit and they're just, you know, buying like remnants, or they're making their own money and using that money instead, or they're just buying new games. That could be another thing. I'm going to be honest, this year actually has been pretty decent for games.
If you're not a fan of microtransactions. But basically, the industry is putting forward that they see all of this stuff as using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And basically, that's why they've been so frustrated. Now, the CPC suggested that they would work with the industry.
Speaking of new games, by the way, I'll be streaming Outer Worlds after this.
After they did their big publication. And without direct leaks, we don't literally know what those discussions looked like over the summer. But based on current reactions, they did not go well. But more than that, apparently, the CPC also didn't work with other EU bodies. Yes, this is really getting all quite complex. People may wonder why, I don't know, nothing ever gets done. Anyway, what it effectively means, the point the industry is trying to get across, right, is that this one group tried to set a new central philosophy in microtransactions, but they kind of did that without getting everyone else involved in the situation involved in what that would look like, which can get messy. And for an example of said mess, we've got to say a big thanks to this pack of Lithuanian RuneScape gold farmers. To put a very messy situation in very simple terms,
are they RMTing?
Lithuania, currency transfers are tax exempt. So because of this, the gold farmers thought that they would not have to pay value-added tax. But the Revenue Office disagreed. The Revenue Office believed that the gold farmers weren't trading a currency.
Wait. Does that mean that they were buying goods with fucking gold from RuneScape? Because they wouldn't have to pay taxes on it. Unironically, that's the type of shit I would be coming up with to try and avoid taxes. Yeah. I don't even blame them. That's actually kind of a five-head move.
Were doing their trades. So yeah, they were like trading a product. And that would mean that they would need to get their value-added tax. Now, they needed clarity on the law here. So what they did is they went to the EU. And they went to a specific bit called the EU Advocate General. And the result of that was a ruling by the EU Advocate General. And that is that in-game currency should be considered as a digital second-hand product, not as a currency in itself. Now, that's actually quite fun for today's story, because that's actually not how the guidelines from the CPC frame them. Same goes for the Digital Fairness Act proposals as well. And that just makes everything here so much messier, because different bits of the EU, different arms of it, are taking different opinions. Obviously, that makes it very hard to get anything goddamn done. And that's part of why
it was obvious this was always going to be a messy transition, because every single part of the EU, I would imagine, every single branch has a different understanding of what in-game currency should be and what it actually is. So no one's going to be able to come to a fucking agreement. So there's just going to be a bunch of old boomers arguing back and forth about whether V-Bucks should be taxed or not.
The company seems so pissed off here. To them, the CPC...
Should we apply tax to the Battle Pass? Raise it from 10 to 12.50. What's VAT again? 12... No, not 12%. Depends on the product. I think it is 12%. Make it fucking 1,125 V-Bucks instead.
Wants compliance with their
Sure, Charles,
guidelines,
why not?
even as another EU judiciary is suggesting another interpretation. So they're, in a way, saying, oh no, look at us, we're caught in the middle, this is a nightmare, what do we do? And honestly, in that case, yeah, they do have a point. It's like different arms of the same body are saying different things about basically the same issue. That's obviously chaos. Chaos that could get worse with the Digital Fairness Act being implemented next year. And that would mean that, well, everything that they work on, these companies that is, may now need to be changed again to comply with the new requirements. Which would be a good thing going solely off the principles, what we're trying to protect and make better here.
Yeah.
But, implementation is often the hard bit, and that
for us, it's great. For the company, it's fucking miserable.
That is why the companies are very much worried. Oh boy, we're getting there. And one thing you may have noticed in this video is it might all sound a little bit schizo. I mean, here I am in 1 second being very much, look at the things the Swedish Horse Girl game was doing. That's all pretty sketchy. Let's regulate some of this stuff so that, we don't have exploitative bullshit happening that's, aimed at teens and stuff. And then you'll also see me, talking about the industry's points. And to understand this story, I think we've just got to accept a very basic fact. Everyone involved is going to present their argument in the best light that they can. The CPC will.
Yeah, every single party is going to show their argument in a way that benefits them the most. Yeah, that's obvious. That's going to happen. But because everyone is going to show it in a way that benefits them the most, naturally, everyone is going to disagree on, specifics. So basically what's going to happen is, unless some major authority comes down and says, guys, stop doing this, every single party is just going to be screaming at each other no, your definition is wrong, my definition's the right one, because my definition means I make the most money, or whatever. So yeah, we need a higher power to come in and just be like, guys, shut up, just stop, okay?
The people at Supercell will. I will, you will, we'll pretty much always be trying to put our argument forward in the best way. And the upshot of that is everyone involved, from their perspective, will play up the risk and then downplay anything that will undermine them. And even if we return to the Supercell dude's letter, you can start to pick holes in some of the logic that he puts forward. If you're going to update his analogy to actually be accurate to the real industry, well, then his theme parks would be having 3 or 4 or 5 different types of tokens. Just look at...
Imagine going to Disney World, it's you have your token, your super token, and your super mega ultra token. You need the super mega ultra token to use our best rides. How do you get the super mega ultra token? Oh, yeah, you pay $15 for one instead of 5.
What you see when you open a gacha game and you're just bombarded. And to undermine his points even more, he tries to talk about how, you can win one of the tokens as a prize. Yeah, but in so many of these games, the only thing you can win as a prize is just for participating in something, is the lowest value of token. But then you can only buy some tokens in massive bundles that don't match the price of the product you're trying to buy, none of which is a good consumer experience, as much as this just web of absolute goddamn insanity does make these companies a hell of a lot of money. And when he talks about wanting to make existing legislation stronger, well, yeah, Supercell would know all that they need to know about that, because they've been accused of being non-compliant with UK loot box regulations.
Oh, really?
Clearly, self-regulation and current legislation are not working for everyone.
I don't remember the loot box.
That's why we need these changes in the first place. But it is also true that he does have a bit of a point. These bodies should probably have a talk with the industry reps to implement changes in a way that won't have unintended negative impacts. And we have seen many examples of that. As an example, GDPR, you having more control over your data, all that privacy stuff, that's pretty great. Yeah. But it's really annoying having that pop up every time you go to a website. You've got to install an extension to deal with the annoying thing. Yeah, that does kind of suck. I mean, I get the point, I agree with the principle, but the implementation clearly isn't really that great. Yep. And where it risks getting worse is that today we've been talking about the concerns from big trade bodies and companies like Supercell. And here's the thing with those groups, they've got money. They can afford to be compliant with new laws, like, say, all the stuff that's been going on with the UK's Online Safety Act and similar laws around the world. The incumbents can fork up the cash to be compliant. They can do that. Hell, If the compliance is a real nightmare, then maybe you can be an entrepreneur and sell the solution. The
Way.
smaller teams, the people who are just on the cusp of being sustainable fiscally, well, they'll be
Is that
hurt
a
more.
limited
The
company?
worst case scenario is something that looks more like regulatory capture, that perhaps looks like the incumbents adapting to the regulation, but then the regulation being so onerous that new companies basically can't really get started up. That can be really bad. But to cut through all that fluff, something needs to happen. And the reason why is simple. A reckoning is coming, and we are very much on the clock. Here's the deal. The Digital Fairness Act is expected to be delivered in the next year or so. And what's happening right now is the ending of the consultation period for the virtual currency stuff. And clearly, after 12 weeks of consultation, well, these companies have been reacting in this way to make a point that they don't want the Digital Fairness Act legislators to treat them the way that the CPC allegedly treated them with all of that Swedish horse girl stuff. They basically want a chance to make sure that their voices are heard. And you know what? That is their right. They are literally entities contributing to the economy within the EU. So yeah, they should have a seat at that table. I want them to be listened to and respected, but also treated with the skepticism that is due, because they...
Yeah, respect them, but also be like, yeah, you're trying to pull something, and I know you're trying to pull something, so I'm going to... Let me say that. I know you're going to try and pull something to benefit you, but I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm still going to respect you. I'm still going to let you speak, but I'm not going to trust you fully because I know you have ulterior motives, is kind of what they should be treated as.
They are very much not unbiased here. And just as these companies need to turn a profit, they also need to do so in a way that is not predatory toward the public. And ultimately, it's that last bit that's where I land. You can see enough horror stories of this stuff going bad, or even just the simple, basic goddamn thing. You look at your phone, there's a social media app that's just trying to play around with your brain chemistry to get you hooked.
Yeah.
You open a video game, and now it's doing the same thing. There's all this predatory bullshit everywhere. I don't know about you, but I've had enough. And the profit of these businesses is, yes, relevant to them, the shareholders. But it's also not goddamn sacred. And the whole point of governments and bodies like these is that we can be represented. And
is to keep companies in check and give consumers a voice. Now, I would say most of the time they don't do a very good job at that. But I will give them this. They do it sometimes. Like once a year, they actually do something that's actually kind of good.
And in some way, we have
It's just for every one good thing, there's like 10 bad things.
Buy-in to the rules of the game that everyone should be able to play fairly, which is a bit of a stupidly optimistic, lofty-ass goal. But in this case, you know what? If they make less money because they're not allowed to be as manipulative, and people lose their jobs because of that, that's okay.
Yep, I have no issue with that. Fucking get rid of them.
Maximizing employment's not the only fucking goal. There's other stuff going on. There are negative externalities. That's another thing to consider.
Now, there will be some fucktards on Twitter who will be like, oh boy, my job. But like, I don't give a fuck.
Yes, you could just deregulate gambling to the tits and then tax it and say, look at our number go up. But then you can also think about the negative externalities on society that are a result of said gambling bollocks. And don't worry,
gambling is so big, it's actually so sad.
You guys in the US are heading in the direction that the United Kingdom has been in for a long ass time regarding the old online sports betting. Anyway, I think...
You know what's really funny about gambling here? You will have a gambling place, like not a casino, but like a sports betting facility, placed right next to a pub. So what always happens is someone will go into the pub, they'll get a pint or two, they'll come out, they'll gamble like 100 quid, leave the gambling place, go back into the pub, drink more alcohol, come out, go back into and they just keep going back and forth. Almost every single gambling place in my town and every other town I've been to is placed right next to a pub. It is so optimal. And usually on top of that as well, there's a fast food place down the road, like a fucking kebab shop or some shit. So what they do when they lose like $1,000 that they probably got from social welfare or something, because that's most people who gamble are on social welfare. At least who gamble like in those shops. A lot of people who I know who aren't on social welfare gamble, they do it online. Anyway, They'll go down to the kebab place, they'll get their kebab, and they'll go home and they'll cry because they just spent all of their money and got maybe $10 back.
You guys see the point. Yes, these guys should be listened to, etc., etc. Do you know what? We should have some say in the goddamn rules, and people have had enough. I know this wasn't the most light and breezy video in the world, so palate cleanse yourself. Watching this one next.
Okay, I'm gonna watch Snowflake next. Fortnite saved the world. Good shit, man. Wrong. Fucking. Oh my god. Good shit, man. Keep it up. Keep updating us. I couldn't give a flying fuck about how to screw over companies who build themselves in the backup. Yep. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, to be honest, I don't really care if a company loses some money, unless it's a company I like. If it's a company I like, then no, we can't have them losing money. But like EA, hey, I have no issue with them losing some money, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they'll make a fucking good game for once. Anyway, I'm going live in like an hour, so I'll see you all in like an hour.